Hi, I'm Debbie Nelson, contributing editor with Nixene Publishing here in the United States, and I'm continuing a series of discussions about graphene and all the amazing qualities and applications of it with our editor-in-chief. Yeah, it was quite a great conversation. I had made connection in in Jackson last year
Yeah,
at at an NGA conference, and really enjoyed speaking with Chris Griggs recently. So
Chris
ERDC.
Griggs works for the US Army and in their research division. And what lots of people may not realise is the military conducts an awful lot of research behind the scenes, most of which we never get to hear about. But this has quite wide-ranging applications, probably a lot of civilian stuff too. And the US Army is talking about it. They've actually filed some patents, I think, have they?
They have they have three patents that they in the past 7 months. So now it would be 8 months because I spoke to Chris in June. So yes, yeah, it's
So
very recent.
what have they done?
Well, what ended up happening, so going back to hurricanes and oil spills, the government wanted to challenge the industries to find ways to use the waste materials from the shrimping industry and from other
Okay.
crustacean. And in doing so, they happened upon this chitosan that is part of the shrimp shells. So they've been working on making this, using it with as a composite with graphene oxide.
Right. So for the viewers watching, chitosan is, we can think of it as a natural polymer, a natural plastic, and it's what crustaceans like shrimp use to make the shells out of. So it's a chemical like a lot of plastics are, except this can be water insoluble, but you can also make it water soluble too by hitting it with various chemical treatments. So that's what chitosan is. So they've managed to do something with it and graphene then.
Yeah, so what they did is they've combined this and in a wet process, and then they lay it out on a surface and allow that to evaporate. And the membrane that it forms is being used for water filtration. Yeah, and the what inspired it was the fact that back when they were investigating how to use the waste materials from the shrimp, at the time they were looking into removing metals from seawater, tungsten and uranium. When Chris's team started working on water filtration, he was like, hey, remember when that happened? Let's pull that in and see if we can do something with it.
So what they seem to have done then is they've done a chemical reaction to take shrimp shells and then dissolve them in water probably, and using a few chemicals, and then they allow that liquid then to cast on a smooth surface, and then they evaporate the water off, which leaves a new polymer film which they can then peel off and use as a membrane. Is that roughly what's going on?
Yes, and they were really excited about how easy it was to peel off. It wouldn't stick to anything. They can do it in a roll to roll process, or they also can cut it into strips, or they have it into strips and roll into a spiral around.
So you can make pipes out of it, that sort of thing.
Yes, and there was a funny story about how it didn't stick to anything, and except when they took the leftovers and poured it down the sink and cleaning up, happened to notice that it is now adhered to the sink relentlessly.
What
So,
was the sink made of?
well, it's a metal sink, so
Stainless steel.
that's what I would assume. Yeah.
Wow, there's hardly anything sticks to stainless steel. That's really quite a cool discovery.
It really is, and they share the space with a different team who was not too pleased with the fact that their beautiful sink, was now, had this other coating on it that's not coming off. So now, of course, they're examining using this as a coating as well and doing some testing on that.
So where does graphene come into this? Is it a copolymer with the shrimp shell extract, the chitosan?
That's what was poured down the sink and
It's,
got
ah,
to
okay.
So
So interesting that nothing sticks to this membrane that they make from the graphene and the chitosan, which is great because it means if you're making filtration membranes, then they won't foul because things won't stick to it. So that's good because it means then you've got something which could have a long life for water filtration. But the fact that it sticks to the metal, that opens up a whole other area of possibilities. I've got no idea where this one's going. Have you?
yeah, well, they looked into having it on surfaces and discovered that it's unequivocally antibacterial. But they said that with viruses, it's a tricky business. So
Yeah,
that's
hardly anybody's tested viruses yet because all the labs are shut.
yeah, and that was something that they were looking into. That there's nothing definitive on that because that's just tricky business.
Yeah.
As a result.
You think of all the stainless steel surfaces, door handles and things like that, that we come across. If they found something that sticks to stainless steel, it's antibacterial. There may be antiviral activity as well. We'll just have to wait for that to be confirmed. Then
Yeah.
these guys could be onto something here.
Yeah, and the fact that it takes care of the waste from the shrimping industry. The
Oh,
Mississippi coast provides the bulk of seafood to the rest of the nation,
yeah.
and so that's a considerable amount of waste that could really be utilized in a very positive way.
I like this.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's amazing the sort of people we get to talk to all over the world in doing different things.
In addition to that, to continuously find out properties of graphene that there's come into play with some of the most unique ways. I mean, graphene in shrimp, who would have thought, right?
And we'll
Yeah,
find out where the guys take it from there.
yeah, absolutely.
We'll revisit this one. Thank you very much, Debbie.